The kitchen smelled of burnt toast and tension. I was 8, all knobby knees and nervous hands, perched at the wobbly Formica table in our Cleveland apartment. It was 1995, and the radio crackled with a Nirvana song, Kurt Cobain's voice scratching the air. My fingers, small and unsteady, gripped a glass of milk, the plastic jug's red cap loose as always. I poured it toward my Cheerios, but the glass slipped, and milk splashed across the table, pooling around the salt shaker and dripping onto the linoleum floor. God damn it, Ellie. Dad's voice was a thunderclap, shattering the morning. He was at the stove, flipping bacon, his broad shoulders hunched like a storm cloud. His face, red from heat or rage, turned to me. Can't you do anything right? I froze, milk dripping from my fingers, my heart pounding like it wanted to escape. I'm sorry, I whispered, barely audible over the radio. Mom, leaning against the counter, cigarette dangling from her lips, let out a sharp laugh. It was harsh, like a crow's caw. Oh, Frank, it's just milk. She's not curing cancer. Her green eyes flicked to me, amused, like I was a sitcom punchline. Dad didn't laugh. He stormed over, boots thudding, and snatched the glass. You think we're made of money? Milk ain't free. His voice burned, like the grease spitting in the pan. He loomed, and I shrank, wishing I could vanish into the cracked vinyl chair. I'll clean it, I said, grabbing a dish rag, but my hands shook, smearing the mess. Dad grabbed my wrist, not hard enough to bruise, but enough to sting. Do it right, or I swear. His eyes were dark, promising storms. Mom laughed again, sharper, blowing smoke toward the yellowed ceiling. She's hopeless, Frank. Let her be. She didn't help, just watched, ash falling into a coffee mug. I scrubbed, cheeks burning, eyes on the table. The milk was gone, but the shame stuck, sticky as the floor. That moment taught me I was small, not just in size, but in worth. Dad's anger was loud, but Mom's laugh was worse, a blade that cut where no one could see. I was Ellie, the girl who spilled milk, the girl who ruined everything. School was a gray brick building 3 blocks away. I sat in the back of Mrs. Larson's 3rd grade class, doodling glasses of milk in my notebook. Kids didn't notice me much, which was fine. I wasn't the type for kickball teams or birthday invites. Just Ellie, with her 2 big sweaters and bologna sandwiches. At home, Dad brought the mill smell, metal and sweat, sinking into his recliner with a Pabst Blue Ribbon, watching the Indians lose on our fuzzy TV. Mom was out with friends, leaving me to tiptoe around. I stayed in my room, a cramped space with a sagging mattress and an NSYNC poster. I read Matilda, dreaming I could move things with my mind, like making the milk jug float back to the fridge. Dinner was quiet, forks clinking on plates of peas and meatloaf. Dad didn't look at me, Mom hummed, lost in her head. I counted peas, 52, each one a reason to stay silent. In bed, I stared at the ceiling's water stain, wondering if other kids felt like one mistake could break everything. I didn't cry, tears fixed nothing. Instead, I promised myself, I'd be careful. I'd hold the glass steady next time. But deep down, I knew it wasn't just about the milk. Morning came too soon, the apartment quiet without Dad's truck. I lay in bed, the water stain mocking me, replaying the milk spill, Dad's grip, Mom's laugh. My wrist still felt warm, though no mark showed. Shame didn't need bruises to linger. I pulled on my X-Files t-shirt, Mulder and Scully faded, and jeans with a fraying knee. Mom was in the kitchen, sipping coffee from a chipped mug, flipping through a National Enquirer. Bus is coming, she said, eyes on a story about Bigfoot. No mention of yesterday, no sorry. Just Linda, in her own world. I grabbed a Pop-Tart, strawberry, no frosting, and headed out, the October air sharp. The school bus smelled of vinyl and sweat. I slid into a back seat, hoping to be invisible, but Tommy Decker, a 5th grader with a buzz cut, had other plans. Hey, milk girl, he shouted, leaning over. Spill anything today? Laughter erupted, sharp as glass. Sarah from down the hall must have blabbed, she'd heard me at the corner store, mumbling about the incident. At school, Mrs. Larson's fraction lesson blurred into noise. I doodled a tipping glass, milk waves crashing. Tommy's taunt mixed with Dad's voice, Mom's laugh, a chorus of my failures. I wasn't just Ellie, I was the girl who couldn't pour right. After school, I took the long way home through Gordon Park, leaves crunching under my sneakers. Old men played chess by the lake, their voices gruff but kind. I sat on a bench, pulling out Matilda. If she could move things with her mind, maybe I could. I stared at a pebble, willing it to roll. Nothing. Just a kid with dumb dreams. At home, Mom was gone, probably at the diner with friends. Dad wouldn't be back for hours. I sat at the kitchen table, tracing scratches in the Formica, and found a note under the salt shaker. Mom's loopy handwriting, Ellie, don't touch the leftovers. Out late. Be good. Be good. Like I could just decide to stop being a mess. I felt reckless. In the living room, I cranked the TV, saved by the bell-blaring Zach Morris's grin. I wanted to be him, charming trouble away, not Ellie, the spill girl. The door slammed. Dad, home early, his face a storm. What's this noise? He roared, yanking the plug. The screen went black, my heart racing. I didn't know you were home, I stammered, backing toward the couch. He stepped closer, boots tracking mill dust. You're always screwing up, Ellie. His voice was low, dangerous. I braced for a yell, a grab, but he just stared, eyes tired, almost sad. For a second, I saw something, regret? Pain, but he turned, muttering, "Clean this up." He meant the room, my life, me. I didn't know where to start. Dad's tired eyes from last night clung to me like damp clothes. That flicker of something, regret, maybe, was new, and it gnawed at me. Was he angry at me, the mill, or something bigger? I barely slept, the refrigerators hum a restless drone through the thin walls of our Cleveland apartment. It was 1995, and I was 8, but I felt like I was carrying a weight I couldn't name. Morning came, gray and sharp, the October air biting as I boarded the school bus. The smell of vinyl and sour milk hit me, and I slid into a back seat, pulling my X-Files t-shirt over my knuckles. Tommy Decker, the 5th grader with a buzz cut and a smirk, leaned over, his voice a taunt. "Milk girl's gonna cry today, huh?" he sang, loud enough for the bus to snicker. My cheeks burned, Sarah's gossip from the corner store spreading like spilled milk. I stared out the window, counting telephone poles, 13, 14, 15, to keep my heart from racing. At school, Mrs. Larson's fraction lesson was a blur. I doodled in my notebook, a glass of milk tipping, waves crashing like a storm over Cleveland's flats. Tommy's words mixed with Dad's growl, Mom's crow-like laugh, a chorus that screamed I wasn't enough. I pressed my pencil too hard, snapping the lead. A girl nearby, Jenny, glanced over but said nothing. Nobody did. I was the kid who spilled, the kid who didn't belong. Recess was worse. By the swings, Tommy and his crew cornered me, their sneakers kicking up dirt. "Bet you spill your lunch too, milk girl," Tommy said, shoving my shoulder. My bologna sandwich fell, bread smearing in the mud. The other kids laughed, a sound that echoed Mom's cackle, sharp and cold. My fists balled, but I didn't swing. I wanted to be brave, like Matilda moving books with her mind, but I was just Ellie, frozen, small. I grabbed my sandwich, dirt and all, and walked away, their laughter chasing me. After school, I took the long way home, cutting through Gordon Park. The Cuyahoga River glinted like liquid steel, and old men played chess on concrete tables, their voices gruff but warm. I sat on a bench, pulling out Matilda, but the words blurred. I wasn't a hero, I was a kid who couldn't pour milk right. A squirrel darted by, and I envied its freedom, its fearlessness. At home, Mom was at the kitchen table, painting her nails red, the polish's sharp smell stinging my nose. "Rough day, kid?" she asked, not looking up, her voice casual, like she didn't care. I shrugged, grabbing a glass of water, careful, so careful not to spill. "You gotta toughen up," she said, blowing on her nails. "World's not kind to crybabies." Her words were a slap, but I nodded, like I agreed, because arguing with Mom was like arguing with the wind. Dad was home early, sitting in his recliner, a Pabst Blue Ribbon sweating in his hand. The Indians game flickered on our fuzzy TV, the crowd's roar tinny through the speakers. I sat on the couch, pretending to read, but watching him. His hands, rough from the steel mill, gripped the can like it was all he had. His shoulder slumped, like it hurt. What made him so angry? The mill? Mom? Me? I wanted to ask, but my voice stayed locked in my throat. Dinner was silent, forks scraping plates of overcooked meatloaf and peas. Dad didn't look at me, Mom hummed a tune, maybe something from the radio, her eyes distant. I counted my peas, 47, each one a reason to stay quiet. After dinner, I was supposed to do dishes, but I rummaged in the junk drawer for a pencil sharpener and found something else, a photo, creased and faded. Dad, younger, smiling, holding baby me in a hospital blanket. Mom was there, her arm around him, laughing, not her cruel laugh, but something warm, real. They looked happy, like a family from a Boy Meets World episode, not this broken thing we'd become. I tucked the photo in my pocket, its edges sharp against my leg. In my room, I hid it under my pillow, next to Matilda. The walls were thin, and I heard them argue, their voices low but sharp. "You're too hard on her, Frank," Mom said, her tone biting. "She's just a kid." Dad's reply was a rumble, too muffled to catch. I pulled the covers over my head, the photo's image burned in my mind. Who were those people in the picture? What broke them? Could I fix it, or was I just another spill they'd clean up? The photo felt like a clue, a piece of a puzzle I didn't understand. I wasn't just Milk Girl, was I? There had to be more, to me, to them. But how do you find a family that's lost? The question hung in the dark, unanswered, as the refrigerator hummed and the night stretched on. The photo I'd found, Dad smiling, Mom laughing, holding baby me, became my secret, tucked under my pillow like a talisman. It was proof they weren't always like this, proof I wasn't always Milk Girl. I was 8, but that picture made me feel like I could be more. It was 1995, and Cleveland's gray autumn skies felt less heavy as I walked to school, the Cuyahoga River's muddy glint in the distance. On the bus, Tommy Decker's taunts were relentless. "Milk Girl's gonna spill her brains next," he sneered, his buzz-cut head looming. I glared back, my fists unclenching, a spark flickering inside. I wasn't Matilda, moving things with her mind, but I could stop shrinking. At school, Mrs. Larson's math class dragged, my notebook filled with sketches of that photo, Dad's grin, Mom's warmth. I wondered what broke them. Recess was a battlefield. Tommy shoved me near the jungle gym, my backpack sliding off. "Cry, Milk Girl," he taunted, kids snickering. Something snapped. I stood, dusting off my X-Files t-shirt, and stepped toward him. "Shut up, Tommy," I said, voice low but steady. His eyes widened, like he hadn't expected a fight. He muttered something and backed off, the crowd quiet. For the first time, I felt tall. After school, I stayed for art club, painting a tree with roots like veins, bold and messy. Mrs. Larson called it striking. Walking home, I passed the West Side Market, its stalls buzzing with voices and the smell of fresh bread. Feeling bold, I stopped at Mr. Patel's corner store, buying a Snickers with my allowance. Growing up, Ellie, he said, his smile warm. I didn't feel grown, but I wanted to. At home, Mom was on the phone, giggling with her friend Deb, her cigarette smoke curling toward the ceiling. Dad was still at the steel mill, his shift running late. I sat at the kitchen table, eating my Snickers, the wrapper crinkling. Mom hung up, eyeing it. Where'd you get that? My allowance, I said, chin up, expecting her laugh. She just nodded, her green eyes softer, like she saw me for once. A small victory. Dad came home, boots heavy, smelling of sweat and metal. He saw the wrapper, his face darkening. Wasting money on candy? His voice was rough, like the mill's machines. I braced for a lecture, tired of being small. It's my money, I said, louder than I meant. His eyes narrowed, but he didn't yell, just grabbed a Pabst and sank into his recliner, the Indians game flickering on the TV. The spark in me grew, warm and dangerous. Dinner was quiet, overcooked chicken and peas, forks scraping. I watched Dad's hands, scarred from the mill, and Mom's quick glances, like she was hiding something. Later, in bed, I overheard her on the phone again, voice low. He's getting worse, Deb. I can't keep pretending. Who was getting worse? Dad? Me? The photo under my pillow felt heavier, a clue to a mystery I needed to solve. I lay awake, the refrigerator's hum mixing with my thoughts. I wasn't just the girl who spilled milk. I'd stood up to Tommy, to Dad, even if just a little. But Mom's words echoed. What was she hiding? The spark burned brighter, urging me to find out, to stop being invisible. What was breaking our family, and could I fix it before it shattered completely? The spark from standing up to Tommy and Dad fueled me all weekend. I was done tiptoeing through our Cleveland apartment, done being milk girl. Saturday, with Mom at the diner and Dad at a bar watching the Browns, I felt bold. The attic door, always locked, called to me like a challenge. I'd seen MacGyver pick locks on TV, so I grabbed a hairpin from Mom's dresser, heart pounding, and crept upstairs. The lock clicked after a few fumbles, the door creaking open to a dusty attic smelling of mildew and time. Boxes were stacked haphazardly, a broken lamp leaning like a drunk. Under a tarp, I found a leather trunk, its clasp rusted but loose. Inside were letters, yellowed, tied with string. They were from Dad to Mom, dated 1985, before I was born. Linda, you're my everything, one read, Dad's handwriting shaky but warm. My chest ached. Who were these people? Another letter mentioned a fight at the mill, Dad's shoulder injury, weeks off work. Money's tight, but we'll make it, he wrote. Another hinted at Mom's dreams, college, a life beyond Cleveland's gray streets. I read until my eyes stung, piecing together a story, love strained by pain, debt, and time. Was this why Dad's anger flared, why Mom's laugh was sharp? The milk spill wasn't just me, it was everything they'd lost. The front door slammed, Mom was back. I stuffed the letters in my sweater, heart racing, and locked the attic. In my room, I hid them under my mattress, next to the photo of smiling Dad and Mom. At dinner, I watched them closer. Dad's silence was heavy, his shoulders stiff as he cut his meatloaf. Mom's glances were quick, nervous, like she was guarding something. They weren't just mad at me, they were crumbling under their own weight. Later, I overheard Mom on the phone, voice low. It's not just the mill, Deb. There's more, and I'm scared. My stomach twisted. More? What else was breaking them? In bed, I clutched the photo, its edges worn. The letters were a start, but the attic held more secrets, I felt it. There was a trunk, a locked box I'd seen but couldn't open. What was inside? Answers, maybe, to why our family was a house of cards, ready to collapse. The attic letters were my secret fuel, burning brighter than the spark I'd felt standing up to Tommy Decker. Those words, Dad's love for Mom, their dreams before the mill and money broke them, made me believe I could be more than milk girl. I was 8, but the Cleveland apartment's walls felt less like a cage. It was 1995, and I was ready to push back, even if just a little. Monday morning, the school bus smelled of sweat and cheap perfume, Beverly Hills, 90,210 stickers on kids' backpacks flashing as they boarded. Tommy leaned over my seat, his buzz cut glinting under the bus's flickering lights. Milk girl's got that dumb book again, he sneered, eyeing Matilda in my hands. I glared, my voice steady. Leave me alone, Tommy. He blinked, surprised, and slunk back, muttering. The other kids stared, but I sat taller, the spark growing. At school, Mrs. Larson's history lesson on the Underground Railroad faded into the background. I sketched the attic's trunk in my notebook, its rusted clasp a puzzle I needed to solve. The letters had shown me a dad who wrote poetry, a mom who wanted more than diner shifts. But Mom's whispered phone call, there's more, and I'm scared, haunted me. What was she hiding? Recess brought trouble. Tommy tripped me in the hall, my book scattering like spilled milk. Kids laughed, but I was done shrinking. I stood, grabbed his collar, and hissed, stop it, or I'll tell Mrs. Larson. His eyes widened, he backed off, mumbling about me being crazy. Jenny, the quiet girl from class, picked up my Matilda and handed it back. You're brave, she whispered. Brave. The word felt like a gift. After school, I walked past the Cuyahoga River, its water reflecting Cleveland's gray sky. The letters were hidden under my mattress, but their weight followed me. At home, Mom was at the diner, Dad at the mill. I decided to act. I'd been good, too good, washing dishes, setting the table, trying to be invisible. No more. I left a drawing on Dad's recliner, a tree like my art club painting, its roots deep and strong. A peace offering, maybe. When Dad got home, he smelled of metal and sweat, his shoulders stiff as he sank into the recliner. He glanced at the drawing, grunted, but didn't toss it. His eyes, tired not angry, lingered on it. "What's this, Ellie?" he asked, voice softer than usual. "Just something I made," I said, heart pounding. He nodded, setting it on the side table. "Progress, small but real." Mom came home late, her diner uniform wrinkled, smelling of grease. She noticed the clean dishes, the set table. "Not bad, kid," she said, her laugh softer, almost kind. I wanted to ask about the letters, about her fear, but her eyes were distant, like she was already gone. Dinner was quiet, meatloaf and peas, the TV muttering about the Indians' latest loss. I watched Dad's scarred hands, Mom's quick glances. They were a puzzle, and I had pieces, letters, a photo, Mom's whispers, but not enough. The attic's locked box nagged at me. It held answers, I was sure. That night, I waited until the apartment was silent, Dad's snores rumbling through the walls. Mom was on the phone again, her voice low in the kitchen. "He doesn't know, Deb. If he finds out," my stomach twisted. "Finds out what?" I crept to the attic, flashlight in hand, the hairpin shaky in my fingers. The lock clicked, the door creaking open to dust and shadows. The trunk was where I'd left it, the letters still hidden in my room. But the locked box, small, metal, rusted, called louder. The hairpin was useless, the lock was too small. I rummaged through the trunk, finding a faded postcard from Niagara Falls, Dad's handwriting on the back, "Our first trip, Linda. Forever." My throat tightened. Forever hadn't lasted. Then I saw it, a tiny key, taped inside the trunk's lid, glinting in the flashlight's beam. My hands shook as I grabbed it, the metal cold. It fit the box's lock, but before I could turn it, footsteps echoed below. Heavy, uneven, Dad, awake. The attic stairs creaked. My heart stopped. If he caught me here, rummaging through their past, what would he do? I shoved the key in my pocket, closed the trunk, and ducked behind a box, the flashlight off, holding my breath. The door creaked open, and a shadow loomed. Was it Dad, or had Mom come looking too? The attic's shadow swallowed me as I crouched behind a dusty box, heart hammering, the tiny key cold in my pocket. Dad's heavy footsteps creaked on the stairs, his silhouette filling the doorway. I was 8, but in that moment, I felt like a mouse cornered in our Cleveland apartment. It was 1995, and the attic smelled of mildew and secrets, the locked box in the trunk calling me even as I held my breath, praying Dad wouldn't see me. The flashlight I'd dropped lay dark, but moonlight from a cracked window glinted off the trunk. "Ellie?" Dad's voice was low, not angry, but searching. My chest tightened. Was he looking for me, or something else? The letters I'd found, hidden under my mattress, burned in my mind, Dad's love for Mom, their dreams crushed by the mill, money, time. Mom's whispered phone call, "If he finds out," echoed. What was in that box? He stepped closer, boots scuffing dust. I clutched the key, its edges biting my palm. If he caught me, would he grab my wrist like with the milk spill? Would Mom laugh? But he didn't come toward me. He knelt by the trunk, his hands, scarred from the mill, tracing its lid. "Damn it, Linda," he muttered, so soft I barely heard. Was he looking for the letters too? The box? He sighed, heavy, and stood, leaving the attic, the door creaking shut. I exhaled, shaking, and grabbed the flashlight. The key fit the box's lock, my fingers fumbling. It clicked open, revealing a stack of papers. A hospital bill, $12,347, unpaid, from 1989, Dad's name on it. Shoulder reconstruction, mill accident. A note in Mom's handwriting, "We can't pay this, Frank." My stomach twisted. Was this why Dad was always angry, why Mom's laugh was sharp? The milk I spilled wasn't just milk, it was money they didn't have. I heard the front door, Mom, home from the diner. I shoved the bill in my sweater, locked the box, and slipped downstairs to my room, heart racing. The photo under my pillow, Dad smiling, Mom laughing with baby me, felt like a lie now. They were drowning in debt, and I was just another burden. At school the next day, Tommy Decker's taunts barely registered. "Milk girl spacing out," he sneered on the bus, but I was too caught up in the bill, the key, the secrets. In class, I sketched the box, its lock open, spilling papers. Jenny, the quiet girl, leaned over. "You okay, Ellie?" I nodded, but her kind eyes made me want to tell her everything. After school, I passed the West Side Market, its stalls loud with vendors and the smell of sausage. I felt bold, reckless. At home, I left another drawing on Dad's recliner, a house, our house, with a crack in the wall. Maybe he'd see it, talk to me. He didn't. He came home, smelled of metal, and tossed the drawing aside, grunting. Mom was on the phone again, whispering to Deb, "It's worse than I thought." My heart sank. Worse how? In bed, the bill and photo weighed on me. I needed to know more. The attic held answers, but Dad's late-night visit meant he was searching too. What if he found the box first? What if the secret broke us for good? The hospital bill was a ghost in my pocket, its numbers, $12,347, burning through my thoughts. I was 8, but I felt older, carrying the weight of secrets in our Cleveland apartment. The milk I'd spilled wasn't just milk, it was a symbol of everything we couldn't afford. It was 1995, and the TV blared Friends, Ross whining about Rachel, but I couldn't focus. The attic's locked box, the letters, Mom's whispers, they were pieces of a puzzle I needed to solve. At school, Tommy Decker's bullying escalated. He spread a rumor I'd cried over the milk spill, and kids snickered in the halls. Milk girl's a baby, he taunted at recess, tossing my backpack in the dirt. I stood, fists clenched, and shoved him back. Stop it! I yelled, surprising myself. He stumbled, shocked, and the crowd went quiet. Jenny picked up my bag, whispering, "You're tough, Ellie." Tough. I wanted to believe her. After school, I stopped at the library, borrowing a book on locks, hoping to understand the attic secrets better. Mrs. Cole, the librarian, smiled. "Curious mind, Ellie." I nodded, but my mind was on the bill, the key, the crack in our family. At home, Mom was painting her nails, the polish's sharp smell mixing with diner grease. Dad was at the mill, his shift late. I tried the paperclip trick from the book on a padlock from the junk drawer, bending it uselessly. The attic's box needed its key, and I had it, hidden in my sock drawer. Dinner was tense, meatloaf and peas, the TV muttering about the Indians. Dad's shoulder slumped, pain flickering in his eyes. Mom's glances were quick, nervous. I wanted to show them the bill, demand answers, but my voice stuck. Instead, I left another drawing, a tree with broken branches, on the table. Mom glanced at it, her laugh absent for once. "You're getting good, kid," she said, almost soft. That night, I crept to the attic, key in hand. The box opened easily now, revealing more papers, a letter from a lawyer, threatening to sue over the unpaid bill. Another note in Mom's handwriting, "Frank can't know about the savings." Savings? My heart raced. Was Mom hiding money? From Dad? From me? The letters had shown love, but this was betrayal. I heard footsteps, Mom, not Dad, her diner shoes clicking. I hid the papers, locked the box, and ducked behind the trunk. The attic door opened, Mom's silhouette sharp. "Ellie, you up here?" Her voice was tight, scared. Did she know I'd found the truth?